Who else might be ready for a presentation? Miss Maria Ressa.
Thank you, Senator Poe. So I think to even talk about legislation, what we'll show you in the next 10 slides is really what the ecosystem looks like. What are the facts? So let's look at the facts, and then we'll present to you the data that backs this, including the networks that power this. Let's start, please. So the information ecosystem, I think first is to look at it as a global phenomenon. And you can look at some of these. Rappler took part in a study that looked at something called patriotic trolling. Patriotic trolling is state-sponsored online hate and harassment campaigns to silence and intimidate. This is the findings of this study, which are set to be released in the coming months, mirror the findings of the November release of freedomhouse.org. They studied 65 countries around the world and found that in 30 of the 65 countries, that social media provided cheap armies to potential authoritarian and dictators to control and manipulate public opinion. The November study is already online. You can Google freedomhouse.org. Unlike what China used to do, so let's say in 2015, China flooded the market. No, go back. Yeah, China flooded the market with 450 million fake social media messages. This is according to the Wall Street Journal, right? 450 million. But China's is a little bit more boring. Russian disinformation, on the other hand, and this is where this phenomenon gets its seeds from, actually hits the fracture lines of societies, and instead of control, you flood the market with lies. Here I put, say, false news, but you flood the market with lies and disinformation, and this plays right along with the exponential growth of technology, because then when people don't know what is real and what is fake, when facts don't matter, then the voice with the loudest megaphone gains more power. Here, as in other parts of the world, in Australia, for example, women are found to have been the target 3 times more than men. And then looking at the pattern in the Philippines, and we can share the data with you here, there are 3 steps that have been taken. And I think you can look at this in the context of Senator Laila de Lima. The first is you attack credibility of whoever the target is. You allege corruption, and then you repeat that exponentially. Because if you say a lie 10 times, truth can catch up. But if you say a lie 1,000,000 times, that becomes the truth. The second step always is to use sexual violence. We've seen this here repeatedly in the Philippines. It inflames biases, fuels misogyny, and then degrades the target as a sexual object. We've seen this again directed against many women. And then finally, the last step before taking it into the real world, because there have been 4 waves of these types of attacks. Hashtag arrest Laila de Lima. Last May, I saw hashtag arrest Maria Ressa. We'll show you how it happened. Let's go to the next slide. Why the Philippines? This is January last year, and it's gotten even. The numbers are a little higher. The Philippines is actually the top country that goes online globally. We spend the most number of hours online. I believe up until last year, we were also the largest Facebook market in the world. 97% of Filipinos online are on Facebook. Facebook is our public market. You're talking about roughly 58 million to 60 million Facebook accounts. Next slide. So this is how we first found this. This is our discovery. Go back, please. Okay, sorry, I don't have a clicker. So this is, we'll show you the series that we did. And this dates back to September of 2016 when the Davao bombing happened. So the Davao bombing happened on a Friday, if you remember. And then early Saturday morning, we found this. Click. This is a website that took a March story. So it's September 2016, right? It took a March story and made it appear like it was happening that day. And then this website, along with others that were created that day, spread this lie. Go back again, please. One more time. Spread it through Facebook accounts that were used in the campaign of then Mayor Duterte. So I think what you're seeing in our country is something that's similar in other countries around the world. A campaign machinery becomes weaponized. And the irony, of course, is that it didn't become weaponized until after President Duterte won. That happened in July of 2016. And that, when we looked at the data, we then published this article. Click, please, Gems. Propaganda war weaponizing the internet. If you look at the date, it was last year, more than a year and a half ago, or nearly a year and a half ago, October. The second part of the series looked at algorithms of Facebook. Let's go to the third part. And this answers a crucial question, which is, how far does fake news spread, right? How far can a lie spread when you put it together in a propaganda network? This is an account called, she called herself Luvimin Cancio. Luvimin Cancio was a troll for ABS-CBN, GMA, Rappler, because she was so active. She drew our attention. We looked at it, and we looked at her photo. The middle ground there is an Excel file. Those are her friends. And then all the way to the right, those are the Facebook pages where she posts. If you look again, those are the campaign pages, right? We took her photo and then did it to Google reverse imaging. It's a Korean pop star. And then we took a look at who she followed. Let's go to the next slide, Jem. Those are 26 accounts who follow each other. Those 26 accounts, because they follow each other, become one network that rise and fall together, right? So all of those, we then took the data that they told us they were, where they worked, where they went to school, and then we put it on an Excel sheet and checked every single one. When we checked every single one, including their names, every single data point is a lie. So this is a sock puppet network of 26 fake accounts. Now, how far do they reach? We manually counted, and it took almost 3 months to do that, how far that reached, because this became the basis of how we can automate the gathering of data. When we counted how far that 26 fake accounts can reach, we found it hit nearly 3 million other Facebook accounts. So what they spread, as they moved up in the algorithms, influenced 3 million other accounts. We came out with this story in October 2016, Fake Accounts, Manufactured Reality on Social Media. We thought we hit a nerve because this was, after we did that, the day after, this is what flooded my Facebook feed. These are only some of the attacks that I'd gotten. You can see some of them are quite creative. The one on top, Maria, you are a waste of sperm. Your mother should have swallowed you. You have to laugh about some of these things, right? And then the name, that account was posted publicly, and then a common friend of ours, die stupid bitch. If you don't like our president, leave our country. This is a real person, a doctor, a young doctor. And when he was tagged on my Facebook page, he said, oh, I left it open in a Facebook cafe. But when I went back over we did a private message because I thought maybe he just didn't know this is against the law. Then I noticed that he had attacked 3 other women journalists in exactly the same way. So this is the day after. Over the next month, from October to go back, please. Over the next month, from October to November, I received an average of 90 hate messages per hour. And even me saying that was taken and misread by the propaganda machine and then was used to attack me. So let's go to the next slide. This is hashtag arrest Maria Ressa. Rappler came out with a story that looked at the conversation between President Trump and President Duterte. We published a transcript. And again, if you look at this statement, Rappler just made the Philippines a legitimate target of North Korean nuclear missiles. It's kind of laughable. And yet, people believe it. So let's look at from the ecosystem of the bloggers to, let's call it the pro-Duterte bloggers, to the campaign machinery. Go back, nope, back. I'll call it one at a time, Gems. So from there, you go to the campaign pages. Click, please. Ipatawag na yan sa Senado, hashtag arrest Maria Ressa. Nandito na po ako, thank you for calling me. Then from there, it goes to a real person. Let's click again. And this one is, I smell an arrest, possible closure of rapper.com. This is a real person in Singapore. And let's go again. Now here's where it turns more sexual. Maybe Maria Ressa's dream is to become the ultimate porn star in a gangbang scene. I won't tell you his name, but he places it publicly. And then finally, let's go to this one. So this is the evolution of it. Me to the RP government, make sure Maria Ressa gets publicly raped to death when martial law expands to Luzon. It would bring joy to my heart. 90 hate messages, and I'm not the only one. I think many of the people here, women journalists in particular, who are reporting, who are asking tough questions, have been the targets of this. So that's the way it worked. Now, what did we do? Let's go to the next slide. So what we did is we gathered data. We took the data and we formed what we began to call a Shark Tank. By mid last year, we had maybe 12.5 million accounts being part of it, meaning if you spread something that was a lie, you became part of this because we mapped the spread, and then maybe about 350 million comments. On the left side, you see the fake news sites. The middle column is the Facebook page that spread it. And then the one I look at a lot is the average reposting, because you can see the average reposting, how often. Now, this is a tool we built for our social media team, so we can tell the difference between a paid kind of cut and paste account to a troll, to a fake account that is run by a real person, blah, 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 all through. Let me show you what it looks like. Again, this is a very rudimentary CMS we built so our social media team can deal with it. So let's look at October 2016. We're going to Sally Matay because her reposting rate was 17 times for every post. If you look at what she's posted, you can clearly see it's a cut and paste method, right? Just cut and paste. And these are where she posts them. If you look at the websites and the groups of where she posts that disinformation or what she wants to post, you can see the combination of the pages. This is where this kind of begins the ecosystem, right? You can see both the Duterte campaign pages and the vice president of former Senator Bongbong Marcos coming together here. We can also check for my social media team. They want to see, all right, well, let's plug in a name to see what that person has posted, what that page has done, and here you can see it come out. Okay, let's move on. Let's take the data. What do we do with all that data? Well, we can take all of these networks and actually begin to map them. This is data with the weighted in degree and the weighted out degree and the degree for hashtag Lenny Leaks, an attack against Vice President Robredo that happened last year. These accounts all together, when you put the data together, will bring this. This is the foundation of our information ecosystem in the Philippines today. This is hashtag Lenny Leaks. When I run the accounts that are attacking other women journalists, they're similar to this, different leads, but these are the content creators and they're broken down by demographic. You can see the pseudo-intellectuals, the middle class, and the mass base. That, as a base, is where our information comes from. The second one is when you take the social media team and it jumps into the real world, and a favorite place where it jumps is, let's click again, is traditional media, right? So we in traditional media also do it, but one of the bloggers here, the pro-Duterte blogger, also writes for this publication. And then finally from there, there's also the connection to the state. Let's click again. This is PCOO, saying that it's now going to actually partner with Russia. Martin and I were, sorry, Secretary Andanar and I were in Hong Kong together, and he said that he would take the PNA and other agencies and send them to China and Russia for training. Um, I, I just cautioned, and I know we spoke about this already. I just feel that that is a difficult thing because more power and kudos to everything that you're doing with PNA and with the agencies to try to upgrade them. But I think falling into this kind of pattern using different disinformation tactics could work against all of us as a nation. And then finally, we close the information ecosystem loop by actually appointing the bloggers, and let's click to office. And this is where this now becomes a truly potent ecosystem, because when Facebook calls the shots, as it does, when that becomes our public space, we've created polarized division. And let's click again. Let's go to Facebook. I was so concerned about this that last August in 2016, I actually went to Facebook with the data to say, I'm really worried because presidential elections in the US are coming up, and then as a joke, I kind of said, President Trump could win. And I laughed. I think Facebook has looked at the data. I've gotten as far as talking to Mark Zuckerberg, and let's click there. And I think that Facebook is doing its best. Rappler couldn't have become Rappler without Facebook. We do need Facebook. At the same time, I feel that the kind of mass base engagement system that Facebook uses turns the wisdom of the crowds into a mob like this. And I think that's where we need to actually figure out how are we going to deal with this. In terms of what's the ecosystem, there are 6 players now that are being manipulated or are taking part in this. The first are the true believers, really sincere ideology, and this is a global, the 6 points are global, right? The second is geopolitical. These are the state, the people who want to control it for geopolitical purposes. Third, financial. You see this in the States. You see in BuzzFeed, they showed you how kids in Macedonia were selling ads, right? Fourth, reputation. These are the people who want the attention and reputation benefits that a platform like Facebook or Twitter could give them. They are motivated by the feedback loop of clicks and follows. Fifth, entertainment. These are the guys who are on for the lulls, right? These are the mischievous fun. They look at it as fun to join taking someone down. So they've extended online gaming practices. So they're going on a quest together. And then finally, 6th one is just the power to be able to actually assert through digital action and influence. So these are like the 4chan people who use mimetic warfare. All 6 of these have all been employed in the Philippines in different ways. We fall into one or many of those categories, but I think what's very clear is that the old world of traditional media is gone. And this new world, we're watching creative destruction, and we would like to, as we have called attention to this over and over. In terms of legislation, finally, I'll close on this. There are existing laws. I agree with Secretary Andanar. I don't believe that we should have more legislation, but I think we should impose existing laws on this and demand accountability. I think the biggest problem is the lack of accountability, the impunity that's happening right now.